Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Central Empire Wrestling presents Bridge City Slam 6 live Saturday, September 7th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. Come see Jake the Snake Roberts, Buff Bagwell, former WWE Tag Team Champions Demolition, Real One Enzo Amore, The Powers of Pain, The Boogeyman, Snitsky, Jordan Grace, Cameron Brennan, and the stars of CEW. Tickets start at just $20 and include the Fan Fest from 4 to 7 p.m. Get your tickets through Ticketmaster or at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. It's Bridge City Slam 6, live Saturday, September 7th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go through a table.
No, and we appreciate Low Pies Pizza and Durham Remodeling and Ryan Allison Tattoo. And Jared Zook, you can protect all of us anytime, baby. Country Financial for the win.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the 4-frequency sake tag team champions of the world, the Wizard CZ, and never wrong, Nick Bull.
What up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We hope you are enjoying your Labor Day weekend. Beautiful weather we're blessed with here as we currently record on this Saturday afternoon, fresh off a WWE show in Berlin. That's the name of the show today, an afternoon in Berlin, episode 146. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Never Wrong, Nick Bull. Joining me as always, we're in the same room today. We can almost reach out and touch each other. We're in the same room today.
Don't adjust your sets. We are broadcasting live from the beautiful Highview Lounge, and it is a gorgeous day to be outside broadcasting. The sun is shining, the sky is clear, and it was a good night in Berlin for those boys who were overseas to entertain us, I'd say. Wouldn't you say, man?
Absolutely. If you're a professional wrestling fan, much like we are, we're glad you're here. That's why we're here. Either company, the big companies, WWE, AEW, they've been on fire. Both companies right now putting out some great shows. WWE's been on a hit all year. Their pay-per-views just they've seemed to capture lightning in the bottle. This magic formula they have of 5 or 6 matches, shows around 3 hours, not overstimulating us, I guess, not overdoing it, but just giving us enough. And it's been a great recipe so far, and they delivered today again in Berlin. Great crowd, not as good as that crowd from France, but they tried. They were doing their thing the whole time, and it's good when a crowd's into it. Another solid show overseas. I know some people, pro wrestling fans here in the States, don't like these overseas shows. Personally, CZ, I love them. I love this afternoon wrestling. You got the rest of your day. You're not dreading work
Right.
on Monday morning if they're on a Sunday. I love these Saturday afternoon matinee pay-per-views. They're great. I hope they continue to do them, and that's the case when they do these overseas shows, whether they're in Berlin, France, or Saudi. They're doing these afternoon hits for us because they're on the other side of the world, and I love it. I love this afternoon wrestling.
Absolutely. And, of course, thank you for joining us on a special date and time for Card Subject to Change. If you're watching, we appreciate that. We're normally on Sundays, but due to prior obligations, we are not reviewing No Mercy for NXT, and have opted to just go today, right after Bash in Berlin, so we can enjoy the rest of our Labor Day weekend, which I'm not upset about.
No, not at all. NXT will be a good show, and I'm sure if something major happens on that, we'll touch on it on this show in some capacity, whether it's here or whether it's on the upcoming broadcast of the Kickout, which will be coming to you this week. More on that later, but I think we should talk about Bash in Berlin. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the main event because it's fresh on our mind. It's the last thing we just seen. The World Heavyweight Champion, of course, Gunther, coming almost home. He's from Austria, but Berlin's as close as they're going to get for a show for him. So this was his home away from home show, taking on the Viper, the Apex Predator, Randy Orton. Randy Orton going for his 15th World Championship. He's at 14 right now. This match is what I would call a slow burn.
Yeah.
And it's good. And I mean it in a good way. They really told the story of Gunther's injured shoulder. There weren't as many chops. Gunther, to me, added a dimension to himself today by having to win in other ways besides chopping and using that arm. Randy Orton keyed on it a few times, really seized the opportunity, taking that chop arm away from Gunther. I thought they told an excellent story. It just shows. I look back on this stuff. I've been watching some past documentaries, most namely recently the Ruthless Aggression documentary, and just how far Randy Orton has come in his career.
Oh, absolutely.
How much he's matured as a person. How good he's gotten in that ring. I mean, he's the best of the best in the WWE. Threw Gunther into the mix, have it in Berlin, and those guys gave us a classic. They told us a story and hit a home run. Well, I mean, I know you were loving that match as much as I was.
I was mesmerized. That match had everything you could want and more. Brilliant storytelling throughout.
Yep.
Very much a passing of the torch moment.
I felt that afterwards with the handshake. We don't see that from Gunther very much.
No.
Gunther being able to extend the arm, give Orton some respect. Hey, you beat the crap out of me today, but I got you, type of deal. So
Right.
it was the passing of the torch.
And that was a very nice moment. The handshake and just the overall atmosphere of the match itself, and the crowd chanting for both people. It was very split, which surprised
me too.
You thought you would think in Berlin this would have been a very hostile crowd towards Randy Orton. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
Right.
I mean, you would think that it would have been a favored Gunther match.
For sure. I thought the crowd would have been more one-sidedly to Gunther, but they definitely some Randy Orton loyalists in the crowd. That's not a bad thing. The crowd was into it. Warring chants going back and forth. I think both guys had their support here, and I'm going to tell you, like, I really just soak this up. Anybody who watches the show, anybody who knows me knows I'm a Gunther fan, so I'm going to go gaga over anything he does. But I think they added a dimension to him as a wrestler today. Wrestling injured, we haven't seen him really get the crap kicked out of him like Randy Orton did today. 3 times onto a table without a breaking. The 4th coming from steps, being above the table, drop down onto it. Randy Orton unleashed some punishment on Gunther. Gunther stepped up and accepted it, thrived in the role, and an injured Gunther, nursing that right shoulder, unable to chop, unable to hit as hard as he normally does, using that left leg, using the submission moves a little more. He won it with a sleeper like he did with Damian Priest at SummerSlam. But I really think this match is just like 2 of the greats of their eras.
Yes.
Meeting up, and like you said, the passing of the torch. And that's kind of how it was presented, in my opinion. Is I look up at the monitor here in the studio, and we still have the Bash at Berlin presser on. But the way he's portrayed, the way they presented it afterwards, like, this is the man for years to come, and we've known that, and now, like, it's being spoken into fruition. I think it's a long time before he relinquishes that title, CZ.
And you've got to look at his previous title reigns. They mentioned it on commentary. The NXT UK Championship, over 800 days. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. The Intercontinental Championship, 666 days.
Yep.
How long does he hold the World Heavyweight Championship? And quite frankly, who can beat him?
I think right now he's poised for a long run. There's nothing there to show you otherwise. He hasn't grown cold. He hasn't fizzled out. Fans on either side, whether you're rooting for him or rooting against him, are interested in his matches. They want to see his level of punishment he's going to hand out. I think the only thing that could stop him right now, knock on wood, as I sit here at the studio table, is an injury.
I think you're right.
Hasn't had that major injury yet. Let's hope he doesn't. He's in the start of a great run here. He got done with that great IC run at WrestleMania when he dropped the title to Sami Zayn after 666 days. But right now, he is on the rise, the cusp of greatness. kind of leading this new era of wrestling we have. I guess they call it the Renaissance era, but he's really the focal point of that Renaissance era. If you ask me, some people might say Cody Rhodes over on SmackDown and doing his thing, and we'll talk about Cody Rhodes here in a little bit. But with this pay-per-view being in Berlin, with Gunther being the World Heavyweight Champion, with it being the main event against Randy Orton, with it being the match that it was, I think we got to give credit where credit is due. That WWE did a great service to us here by giving us this match. It delivered, and they had a great way to get back into it after the King of the Ring and Randy Orton's shoulder was up. So they had a great end to it. They took us on a ride. The match in Berlin today was special, and I think when people look back on Gunther's reign, they're going to point to this moment and him gut checking himself, toughing it out, and able to get over on Orton in Berlin.
Now, before we get off of this match, I want to name a couple of names. You talked about building stars.
Yep.
We're not there yet with these two people I'm going to mention. There are two people that I can see that could potentially take the title off of Gunther when they're ready. They're currently sitting in the Intercontinental picture. I think you know who I'm going to say.
And I'm going to add a name after you add it.
I'm going to say Braun Breaker.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Ilya Dragunov.
Okay.
Those are the two names that I see because they have both given Gunther a run for money in NXT or NXT UK. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
They have both put on tremendous matches with him.
Yes.
And when they are ready to bump up to that next level, which is going to be sooner than later, but not quite yet. Look out.
Another name I think you need to throw into there, and it's a slow burn down the road, is a Ludwig Kaiser.
Okay.
Ludwig Kaiser's coming along into his own right now. He's starting to get showcased a little bit. He did the ring introduction for Gunther today. At some point, Imperium is going to break up down the road, in my opinion. And I'm not saying Kaiser's going to beat him, but those are going to be some interesting matches between those two. Those two know each other. They're good friends. They've risen through the ranks together. But I wanted to throw that name in with your two names. Good suggestions of Braun Breaker and of Ilya Dragunov, to take the title off Gunther in the future. As we babble here, you're listening to the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We are powered by Low Pies Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Thank you so much. We're glad that you're a part of this, and we're glad that you're here watching us. We're here talking about Bash in Berlin, an afternoon in Berlin, these Saturday afternoon matinees. We're just remarking here about the Randy Orton-Gunther match, talking about how much we loved it. Anything more you want to add to this match before we continue on with other parts of the show?
I really think we've said it all.
Okay.
Just a great match, and I think it's one that I look forward to go back and rewatching at some point.
Right. God, I love Gunther. I love him, man. I love him. I can't say it enough on this show, and he really showed me today why he's probably my favorite wrestler to watch right now. Just what a performance he put on, and I can't wait to see what's next. I don't know where you want to go next match-wise.
Well, let's go from what was probably the best match on the card to, and I'm going to say this, like, what was probably the worst match, in my opinion, on the card.
Okay.
And it wasn't a bad match. Talking about the women's tag match. All in all, it was an interesting dynamic. I'm not a big fan of Alpha Fire, but I am a fan of Isla Dawn. I think together they kind of complement each other and bring something good to the table. There's a tag team champion for a reason, but there were shenanigans involved that led them to getting those titles.
Correct.
This match didn't have those shenanigans as much, if at all, to give Bianca and Jade the title back.
Yeah, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn won the belts in a three-way tag without taking the winning fall over either Bianca Belair or Jade Cargill. So Jade Cargill and Bianca had their right to a rematch, I guess. They get the rematch here at Bash in Berlin. And this match is kind of what I expected it to be. WWE still kind of have the tight reins on Jade Cargill. They're still, I guess, handling her with kid gloves, bringing her along the way they want to bring her along. and having Bianca work most of the match. Get Jade in there for the hot tag, the power moves, the double team moves. And they had they have some chemistry together, some cohesion in the ring. They got some good double team moves that they do. And I just felt from the get-go like there was no way they were going to lose this match.
Right.
And that's because I think the eventual thing here with Bianca and Jade, all's happy now in their camp. They're the new women's tag champs. But this is going to be a feud down the road. This might be your feud at WrestleMania. So in order to get to there, and I know it seems so far away right now, but it's not. It's not. WrestleMania will be here before we know it. Jade and Bianca need to win these tag belts, have some success, help each other out, earn that trust back, and then slowly but surely there's going to become dents in that armor, and you're going to see that these guys maybe aren't as strong as they portray themselves as a team, and I think it's going to lead to a one-on-one feud with Bianca and Jade. Can they hold off to WrestleMania? I think so, and this was a step in that direction. Get them back as the tag champs. Get them back some fluency, get them some wins, get them on a run, and then you can start planting the seeds for that eventual feud that I think is going to take place, and I think it'll take place at WrestleMania.
I agree.